What's up, guys? Doug, Recording Connection Audio Institute, and we're going to take a look at automation and all the automation modes available in Pro Tools. The track I guess I'll focus on here is the vocal to try and show you kind of what the options are with automation. So let me increase the size of this track here so we can actually focus on it. So there are several different types of automation modes, and you can literally automate, so many different things in Pro Tools that the possibilities with doing this are endless. What I'm not going to do is show you technical, ways to, or cool tricks with automation. I'm just going to show you the very basics. There will be other tutorials on using some of these things to your advantage, but I want to familiarize you with the concepts and then hopefully get your, inspiration flowing, and you'll come up with different ways to apply this information. So the first mode that comes in automation is, and again, your automation mode selector is right here, right on your track itself. So the first mode and the mode that it comes preset to is read mode. And as you remember from the reading, read mode just means it's going to read the automation that's written and play it back. So it doesn't give you the ability to write any automation. This arrow right here is what's referred to as your automation playlist. So you can select this at any time, and then you can actually add different things. So by just hitting this plus, it brings up the normal automation level. So if I have a send here, it will bring up the send level. So you can actually automate the send level, the amount of send that you're sending to different plugins and things like that. So the first way to write automation is just by, clicking these down, and then by, writing the automation here in the playlist, right? Let me increase the size of this also. So we can do this a couple different ways. You can just grab your pencil tool and write, just by clicking and then writing, doing lines or whatnot. You can write different styles of automation. And now this is on the line tool, so you can hear these effects. So let me solo this track, and we'll show you kind of what this sounds like.
Just don't know where the time went. Story had lost in burning man's escape.
So you can hear him getting louder and quieter.
We watched the fire.
So these are, we wouldn't really use that in a typical setting. But just know that there are several different types of write modes that you can use with your pencil tool. The freehand, gives you the ability to write, freehand. So you can hear, here I'll actually go over to this section over here.
Just don't know where the time went.
So he's slowly going down.
Going outside, no you praise.
So there's some pretty abrupt changes in amplitude there. You saw the line tool. You can do a triangle tool, which is set according to your grid value. So if you zoom in on these, they're actually quick raises and lowers. And if I change my grid value, then obviously the amount of up and down changes as well. So if I change my grid to quarter notes, and then I write with the triangle tool, those you can see my grid values now become less. And so I can do small adjustments by just clicking and holding the button, small or large adjustments.
Just don't know where the time went.
So the triangle tool, same thing goes for the randomizer and the square tool. So the same thing, and it goes according to my grid value. I make those up or down. And sometimes it's fun to use this random tool. It does random variations. And this is really cool for automating plugins and doing weird effects and things like that. So definitely play around with those. And the parabolic is more for fades and for other things. So parabolic and S-curve, you won't typically use those in automation. They're for other things here. So it's mainly going to be the random, square, triangle, and line tool that you'll use most often. But to be honest with you, I rarely use those. What I use is the Smart tool, because if I have the Smart tool open and I hold Command, you see how my grabber tool has now become a plus, and that allows me to drop an automation point. So I can actually just drop points anywhere. And then I can come back in here, with the tool, and I can actually stretch these up and down. And then I can take points away by holding Option. If I do Option, it allows me to remove those points. So that's in the Smart tool. Okay. So that is one way of writing automation. Okay. Let's take a look at some other ways to do that. Let me increase this waveform. Okay, so some other ways to do it are to do it real time, because a lot of times, especially when you're getting into like automating plugin parameters and things like that, you'll maybe want to map a plugin parameter to your MIDI controller and then automate the plugin that way, okay? Which is definitely one way to do it. But let's take a look at doing things in real time, okay? So I don't have to have a MIDI controller to be able to do this. What I would do is, and we'll just focus on this section here, I would change this over to touch, latch, or write, okay? So the way that those are going to react are going to be very, very different. Touch means that when I have this on, automation doesn't start writing until I touch the fader. After I stop touching the fader, so I let go of the fader returns to its original position. So let me show you kind of what this looks like, okay? So now I have touch on, and it's red, letting you know that when I press play, it's going to be active. So I'll grab my fader. You'll see that the touch is now become red. So if I make changes to this, it's writing this automation, and then I let go, and it rises back up to the place where it was. So now that automation is written, and I can play it back. We watch the fire blaze. So, touch mode. Okay, I can also choose latch mode. Latch mode is similar to touch mode in that it starts writing after I have touched the fader. However, with latch mode, it stays wherever the fader position ends, it stays there and continues to write automation. Okay, so now it becomes active. If I leave the fader here, guess what? It's writing that automation there. So it's now writing the automation there. We watched the fire blaze and danced upon. So it stays there, right? Just don't know where the time. So we can hear those differences there. Write mode, the last automation mode, just means it's constantly writing automation. So there's no, it's automatically writing whatever I do, right? So just don't know where the time went. Story had lost. So no matter what happens, so if I'm in write mode, so it looks similar to latch, and you can see it goes back here to latch. But the difference is when I'm in write mode, okay, now that I've written automation, if I start writing, if I press play again, it's going to erase. It's going to erase all that automation that was just written, right? So the automation that was written now will be erased when I'm in write mode. So the difference between latch and write is they basically function the same way, except for write is always writing, and latch doesn't start writing until I engage the fader. So I touch it. Okay. So those are your three primary modes of automation, your three ways of automating, or you can just turn automation off altogether. Now, so let's take a look at where these different things would become useful. Really, really quickly, let me give you an example of a plugin automation. So I'm going to send this bus over to let me see here. Choruses 3 and 4. Create a send. Automate my send level. So let's hear how this sounds.
Just don't know where the time went. Story had lost in burning man's.
So you can hear a heavily affected vocal. Let me turn this down just a bit.
Just don't know where the time went.
And let me actually give it some more so it's heavily affected.
Just don't know where the time went.
But I can actually choose to automate different portions, within the different parameters within this plugin here.
Just don't know where the time went. Story had lost in burning man's escape. We watched the fire blaze.
So what I would do here is I would come over here to auto, which is my auto window for plugins, and we'll get into this more a little bit later. And then it gives me a window and asks me what things within this plugin do I want to automate, right? So I can actually choose to add this. Let's add the mix knob maybe because it'll give me some cool. So I'll just work on those two, okay? Then I can also So now I can come back in here with my, these are automatable, right? So I can come back in here, put this track back on, actually it would be here, and then I can hit plus. Let me just do it this way. I can choose what I want here. Now I have the mix knob that's automating, right? So I'm going to see my automation come here. So I can make sure that this is on touch. Okay.
Story had lost in burning man's escape. We watched the fire blaze.
So now I've just written that automation. Now when it plays
Just
back,
don't know where the time went. Story had lost in burning man.
so you kind of hear it going back and forth there. So that just to get your, wet your palate a little bit. That's, the kind of things that we see active here. So that's it for this little tutorial. Definitely take some time to walk through and put some automation on your tracks and have a little fun with this. You can literally automate everything. So, once you start to realize the depth of that and you go through your plugins and your effects and you're like, okay, well, I can automate that. It really adds a lot of another layer or so to your mix. So take a look at that. Thanks, guys.